This is Charter Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerantz at Long Beach today. And yes, we are joined by two living beings. We have Deidre Lopez and we have her dog Butch. Deidre is with Karma Rescue. She is the Director of Education and Community Outreach. And I am inspired by what the organization is doing. Over the last few months, we've been speaking with sheriffs and other folks dealing with incarceration and their attempts to provide rehabilitation for those that are in jail. We've spoken with the Sheriff of San Luis Obispo County, the Sheriff of San Bernardino County. They have some great programs, and you are now playing a part in trying to help the incarcerated in Los Angeles County. I'd love to hear, Deidre, about what Butch does as part of the Pause for Life program.
Well, Karma Rescue has been around since 2003, and so we have a lot of people and animal programs. This particular program launched about 1.5 years ago, and it's the first of its kind in the whole state of California. We pair up dogs that need a little help with their manners and high security prison inmates.
And let's
as
talk
part
about
of a training program.
Those two elements. Dogs that need help with their manners. Explain who they are, why they are that way, and how you get to them.
So as a rescue, we tend to pull high-risk dogs from the high-kill shelters. And those can be really stressful environments for the animals. And also, you're not exactly always sure the background that they've come from. It's not always an abusive background, but maybe it wasn't full of love, full of training that makes a good family pet. So when we pull these dogs, it gives us the opportunity to train them, to make them a good addition to the family using these inmates.
And let's talk about Butch as an example. Butch I can see as a pit bull, or at least pit bull mix.
Correct.
There are a lot of misconceptions, in my opinion, about pit bulls. And we know pit bulls are often abused outside of loving homes and shelters. So talk to us specifically about pit bulls as an example.
So any dog is going to be a product of its upbringing and its environment. And pit bulls in LA especially are definitely an overbred breed and in more of the urban areas. So they may not get the physical or the emotional attention and upbringing that they need.
And I've learned that there are some folks in the gang culture that use pit bulls as part of initiation riots. And the pit bulls are not treated well during these ceremonies.
And you know, that could happen, but here's the great news. Even though 60% of the dogs in Los Angeles shelters are pit mixes.
They are. It's that high.
It is that high.
Oh my God.
And unfortunately, as a result, they have the highest euthanization rate as well. But in general, if you're getting them young and you're getting them early, you're able to really make a difference in some of that upbringing. But many of these dogs, as you can see from Butchie here.
It's a love dog.
Yes, he's gentle, he's very docile, he's very affectionate, a little on the thin side, but we're going to fatten him up. And he'll make a fantastic pet. He's very respectful, responsive, and he's a good listener.
And he's up for adoption, by the way, just so you know.
That's right.
So tell us about how Butch or one of his friends may go to an LA County jail. It would be a jail, or no, prison. It's actually a prison.
That's right.
Because it's part of the state system.
Correct.
How a state prison, and what would Butch or one of his friends do inside the prison?
So Butch is on the well-behaved side. Some of the other dogs may not have the same self-control. They're a little bit less adoptable, and that's why we put them in this 12-week program with the prison. So when they arrive, they'll obviously acclimate to their surroundings. There are special arrangements created just for these dogs. They're actually paired with 3 prisons, so they're prisoner trios. And those are the trios that will work with the dog throughout the 12 weeks. So 3 different prisoners. Correct. I gotta ask you though, I mean, it couldn't have been easy for your organization to convince the California prison system to bring in not only dogs, but dogs that you describe as high risk. Dogs like pit bulls who are perceived sometimes to be aggressive. Well, here's the great thing. We actually had a lot of support for this program. The warden Soto and Captain Woods were 2 of the folks instrumental in really bringing this program into their prison.
And these are folks with the prison system.
Correct. And the same way that people need to be rehabilitated, and that's their areas of expertise, the same thing with dogs. So it's not about worrying about the safety of people, it's more about helping people emotionally open up, embrace that they're working with the animals.
Yeah, and so tell me
and
about
really connecting with that.
Be as specific as you can. What happens when Butch or one of his compatriots walks into a prison?
Sure. Well, we start initially by preparing the inmates for what they're getting themselves into.
What does that mean?
So we have a trainer that comes in, and for 2 weeks they'll read books, they'll learn some basic things about dog behavior with this professional trainer, and then after that we bring the dogs in. And from there they work on different sets of training. In order to pass the Canine Good Citizen training and get their certification, they need to pass.
Meaning the animal.
That's
not
right.
the person.
That's right. Butchie or any of his friends that are going in there. They'll need to make sure that they get through all of those learnings and be able to execute each of those commands and show their abilities with each of the 3 individual inmates.
All 3 of them?
That's right. So that shows that when they move outside of the prison system that they're able to repeat all of those learnings with anybody else.
Tell me about the inmates. How are they selected? Who are they? What's their background? Do they have to agree to participate? What's the ultimate goal?
So it starts by a selection process where they do an application, absolutely. They review their backgrounds. All of the prisoners that are involved in this program are part of what we call a good yard. So these are guys that have sworn off drugs, fighting, gangs. It's a very positive community that they've developed, and they want to give back and make positive community changes outside of the jail as well.
But are they long-termers?
They are. They're all lifers, actually.
Wow.
Right. So based on part of their record, some of their background, some obviously guys would not be eligible for this program. Their reasons for wanting to participate, how the system believes that they would do interacting with the dogs. There's a bunch of variables that go into it, and then they're selected to be on the team or not. So
and so tell me, so they go through the program, the initial few weeks, then what happens?
So when the dogs come in, they actually have to then work with the dogs weekly on their own. The trainers will come in during the week a couple of times and make sure everything's on track. But this is the time that the inmates are really developing a bond with the animals. So if you think about it, they're coming from a situation where they are emotionally closed off.
Absolutely.
They may or may not have good relationships with their families, even with the gentlemen
the 2
around
others,
them.
right?
Absolutely. And so they need to be able to open up, connect with the dog, put their emotions out there, and they journal along the way to make sure that they're in touch and expressing themselves and able to really come to terms with what's happening during this experience. And I have to say, if you read the journals, it would move you to tears, some of the things that they talk about.
Give us examples, if you may.
I would love to. One inmate was talking about how he hadn't spoken to his family in years, and his mom found out that he was part of this program, called him up and said for the first time in that he could ever recall that she was proud of him. And they were talking also about the atmosphere on site as well. So it's very distinct. Prisoners or inmates and the guards, and they don't interact, and there's reasons for all of those things for that separation. Well, as the program was progressing, it was more relaxed, more camaraderie, and the best moment that I remember hearing a prisoner talk about or an inmate speaking about was when the guard shift was happening. The inmates were coming in, or the trainers as we call them, the trainers were coming in with their dogs, and the guard shift was happening, and the new guards that came on actually said good morning to the group, and
it's so simple.
They felt like men again, like people.
And the dogs stay with them?
Correct. They're with them all day long.
All day long?
Yeah. Well, at night they go to sleep in their kennels. They have a separate location to sleep.
Inside the prison walls?
That's right.
But I mean, it's mind-blowing.
Fantastic.
I mean, really, are they in the cells with them?
They will be in the cells with them. They basically go throughout their day with the trainers. And then the trainers are able to execute and make sure that they're well behaved.
I mean, I would presume you have repeat customers. I mean, if I were in jail, I'd love to have, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it sounds crazy, but...
Well, what we do is have the previous trainers act as mentors for the new trainers. And so we really try to make sure that we're reaching new trainers each time, the way we bring in new dogs.
Are you going to expand this program? Because this really, I can only imagine, is just such a great experience, not only for the animal, but for the human, and for everyone involved.
It is. We did actually go into San Luis Obispo, and we've done a cycle there. I think the most important thing that we're doing now is realizing that we could advance this from just Canine Good Citizen certification to therapy certification, so we can help incoming and returning veterans and really do more with the dogs.
Incredibly impressed. Her name is Deidre Lopez. She is with Karma Rescue. The website is karmarescue.org. My name is Brad Pomerantz. It's Charter Local Edition.